Thanks for tuning in to our qualifying day edition here on Mystery Caution as we take a look at qualifying and practice speeds over at Darlington. And quite a difference from just a few days ago when we talked on Tuesday. That's because on Tuesday we were taking a look at Chevy drivers who were really dominant here with the next gen car winning the last 3 races at Darlington. So we definitely talked them up. But we also warned you, and again, keep that in, this is very important, qualifying does not matter at Darlington. So let's go right to it here, and let's go through the track trends first of all, starting with the ones that we did talk about earlier in the week with CJ Redoon of RotoWire. Of course, you know Darlington, a 1.3 mile racetrack. Now, since we haven't seen Homestead this year, and it is the most similar, I just think, don't worry about it. I wouldn't take a look at any of the racetracks at this point. I think this is something, or at least to me, Darlington's a racetrack so far this season that stands on its own. Okay, now here's what I was talking about. 10 of the last 14 winners have started outside the top 5. And with the next gen, 2 of the last 3 have started outside the top 7 rows. Now, coming into today's qualifying and practice, we were a little bit worried about Toyota drivers because they haven't won here with the next gen car, but as we will see with the speeds, that has changed. And then finally, once again, it seems to be a recurring theme. The last 7 winners have all been different in the last 7 races at Darlington. And again, I mentioned the Chevy drivers winning here over the last 3. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. And I want to first of all, tell you what, we're going to first of all take a look at qualifying. And we're going to do that taking a look at Tyler Reddick on the front row. Okay, so we had mentioned this. We don't like the fact that Tyler Reddick has been looked at as far as the odds makers as one of the top drivers each week. I think that's been a little bit overboard. And now you can forget it because he's on the pole. But considering, and we'll get into his practice speeds in a little bit, you're going to see that it's probably not a good day actually to take Tyler Reddick. Not just because of the odds, but because of his practice run number. All right, but you got Reddick there, and you also have Keselowski and Buescher. So you got the teammates at 2 and 3. So that's good, but you'll see there's a big difference between Keselowski and Buescher in just a minute. Gibbs is actually looking pretty strong so far. He's one of the strong ones, and he was definitely not in our equation. And then we'll get into his overall career in just a bit. Now you finally have a Chevy. You got Byron and Larson back-to-back. Then you go to the Toyotas back-to-back, and Hamlin and Wallace. Chastain and Truex round out the top 10. Okay, now, what is the intriguing part of qualifying here? Defending race champ Ryan Blaney is 17. But here we go. Eric Jones, a disappointing 30. Now, he made it up in practice, but starting 30th, that was, yes, disappointing considering this has been his best racetrack. But who knows? Maybe he just needed a run out there, or a couple of runs out there between practice and qualifying. But he was better in practice, and fortunately did not get a good qualifying run. Here's the big one. Chase Elliott, 31st. Chase Elliott just does not have speed at this point in time, so he's pretty much just taken himself out of contention already. And Noah Gragson, who was hot, red hot coming in, you'll see in practice, he actually looks okay. The problem is he hit the wall in qualifying, and that's going to happen. Unfortunately, it cost him a 36th spot right out of the gate. Okay, now let's take a look at practice. Now, you're going to see the big differences here. Hey, look at Micah McDowell again. We've been talking about Micah McDowell the last few weeks. You know, whether it's practice or qualifying, he's put some good runs together. So he was the fastest in practice, and that's good because he's 16th, and that's not all that bad. Remember, we don't care if you're outside the top 14, you have a chance. So Micah McDowell has shown you that he can go fast. We've seen him go fast the last few weeks. His odds are going to be through the roof. So I still think at this point in time, Micah McDowell has got to be looked at as one of the excellent long shots because he was 130 to 1 on Tuesday. All right, there's Gibbs again with another good run. Now, there's Chris Buescher. Remember I said Buescher, Keselowski, one of the two, clearly over the other. Well, it's Chris Buescher. And that's good for us because we liked Chris Buescher as a good long shot the other day, and now he looks even better. So we liked Chris Buescher. Originally, his odds were 25-1. All right, now, he's going to start third, practice third. That combined is the best number, tied with Ty Gibbs, who was fourth and second. So Buescher, 25-1. I still think you're going to be able to get, of course, double digits. You should be able to. You should be able to get somewhere between 10 and 15-1. I think it's worth it. Hopefully you did take him, though, the other day, and you're sitting pretty like us at 25-1. William Byron, he's definitely the best Chevy at this point. He's combined fifth in practice and fifth in qualifying. And Byron was my top choice, one of CJ's top three choices the other day. So I feel really strong with William Byron, who is clearly the top Chevy starting off. Joey Logano had a nice improvement in his practice session. Actually, of course, start off in practice, then you qualify. So it was a strong start for Logano. Unfortunately, he did not get the qualifying effort he was looking for. He'll start 14th. But I think Joey Logano is also a long shot that you want to be keeping an eye on. He started off at 22-1 the other day. Don't forget, he's got a win in the next gen car from the pole. Remember, he had poles in both 2022 next gen races. Did not look good last year, but he's got those really fine efforts. Finished first and fourth in 2022 to look back on. And considering he starts 14th, I think you're going to get good odds on Joey Logano. So he's definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on. There's Eric Jones we talked about. Denny Hamlin seems to do this every week. You know, he's like in the top 10 in practice and qualifying. Nothing great. He's just kind of there. And because he's just there and he does so well during the race, you know at this point in time, I think it should be no surprise. I believe he's going to go off as the favorite. But you know what? Kyle Larson seems to be holding that job lately. Unfortunately, Larson's down here at 15th. So because he was 15th in practice and not all that great at 6th in qualifying, it's okay. Nothing great. But I think Denny Hamlin's going to end up the favorite of this race, you know, when it's all said and done. But Larson will be right there with him. And I also believe Reddick will be right there with him as well. They're going to take a look at that pole a lot more than he will that 18th practice run. And moving on down, you have, by the way, Truex. He's also going to be very dangerous because the last couple of weeks he was starting and even practicing in that 15 range. Well, now he's kind of moved up a little bit, as you can see. Now he's going to go 10th in qualifying and then 12th in practice. So Truex is clearly also going to be one of the drivers to keep an eye on. But when you take a look at his next-gen results, keep in mind, his best finish is 18th, and that was in his last run. Last year and during the fall, he was on the pole in this race last year, led 145 laps, but crashed. As a matter of fact, he's had 3 incidents out of 4 in the next-gen car. I tell you what, 10th and 12th, he was 6-1 the other day. If you're getting 8-1, I think that's a pretty good deal for Truex. But anything less than that, I wouldn't be all, I wouldn't be all excited about it. Now, there's Noah Gragson. Considering he had a little bit of a slip-up, hitting the wall, which is why he's starting 36. He's not going to have a chance to win. He's just not. I mean, it's hard enough for a Kyle Larson and William Byron to win from 36, let alone Noah Gragson. But if you want to bet him inside for another top 10, I think you could do that based on that practice run. Because, hey, if he doesn't hit the wall, who knows whether or not he's better than 13th in qualifying. There's Larson, as we talked about. Look, Reddick, that's a disappointing 18th from the first in the pole. And keep in mind, there had been one pole sitter that has won since 2014. Just one. So considering Reddick was 18th fastest, Keselowski was 22nd fastest in practice, those are bad signs for the front row of Reddick and Keselowski. I would bet against them in this one. Chastain, a big drop from 9th to 24th in practice. Kyle Busch, also disappointing. He started off the day with a 20th practice run. The good news is that he made up from 20th in practice to 11th. Just missed the top 10 in qualifying. And Kyle was another one of the long shots that we were taking a look at. And I tell you what, the odds are going to stay the same, I think. They were 15-1. I probably think you might get 18-1. considering he didn't even make the final 10. So I still think Kyle is dangerous. And I still think Ryan Blaney's dangerous as well. I know the practice and qualifying speeds were nothing great, but you are getting a big number for Ryan Blaney, and we gave you some reasons why we believe that that's a number you have to take advantage of. I don't see Ryan Blaney winning this race, but fantasy-wise, if you want to bet that he's going to finish inside the top 10, I think you can do that. Okay, there's Elliott, and a little bit of a better effort in practice and qualifying, but not good enough. You just can't bet on Chase Elliott the way he's looking so far today at Darlington. And and also Alex Bowman. Very disappointing, Alex Bowman, another Chevy driver, 18th qualifying, 30th in practice. So, yeah, the Chevys with a big drop-off. Only one of the top 7 in practice and none of the top 4 fastest in qualifying. That combination is not good. But I think because you have Byron with the 5th and a 5th, that's going to keep him, at the top as far as I'm concerned. You also have Buescher looking strong and Gibbs looking strong. So if you look at it, the 3 fastest combined drivers all were from different manufacturers. Buescher with the Ford, Gibbs with the Toyota, Byron with the Chevy. So at this point in time, they're all in it. That's the way I think you have to look at it. They're all in it right now. I wouldn't be taking a look at one manufacturer over the other. I tell you what I probably would do though. I at this point I probably still favor Toyota a little bit because they have 5 of the top 10 in qualifying and they're on the pole, and they weren't all that bad in practice as well. Now Ford was the better because if you take a look at Ford, they had 2 of the top 4 in qualifying and 3 of the top 6, including the fastest driver in practice. So Ford's got a little bit of an edge here. So I'd say Ford, Toyota, Chevy. That's the edge after today's practice and qualifying runs. But considering Chevy's won 3 straight here, I think everybody's in it. I really do. So I'm not really too keen on taking a look there and saying I'm going to zero in on one manufacturer. But again, remember, the big one, as far as I'm concerned, 10 of the last 14 have started outside the top 5, and 2 of the last 3 outside the top 7 rows. So that means you still want to keep an eye on drivers like Logano, McDowell, maybe Blaney. But I'm going to say Logano and McDowell are the 2 that kind of fit that criteria. Logano starting 14th, McDowell 16th, both driving the Fords. And by the way, also, let me not forget, there's one more driver I almost forgot about, and that's Christopher Bell. All right, because Christopher Bell will be starting 12th, just outside the top 10, but he was 4th fastest in practice. So I think Christopher Bell, the only thing is, though, is Bell has 1 top 5 with the next gen. He was on the pole last fall here, led 40 laps, but ended 23rd. He's never led a lap in the Xfinity Series, and he's only led 56 laps in 9 races in the Cup Series at Darlington. But I have to get good odds on Bell, though, because he was 9-1 the other day. So if you get something like 10, 12-1 on Christopher Bell, keep an eye on him. The only thing with Christopher Bell is that things just haven't been going his way lately. And I'd kind of hold that against him more than anything else. He did have a 6th, though, at Kansas, so maybe that is the start of him getting going again, including a pretty good combination of practice and qualifying, especially in practice. So I would take a look at Christopher Bell if you're getting good odds as another one. All right, that's going to wrap it up. So I can't tell you exactly. What we're going to do is I know we've been kind of switching things around here lately because last week we had a late run. Didn't get on the air until Sunday morning on race day. Therefore, we had the odds to go with. We're not going to be able to do that, of course. We're doing this on Saturday. Right now, I'm recording at just about 3 o'clock Eastern. So what I'm going to do is and also, by the way, last week we did not combine the shows, the edited version of our earlier show. And so I believe that's going to make things a lot easier for us to post these earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and just reference it in the description. So if you want to see the edited version of our entire preview of this race on Tuesday with CJ and I, check out the link in the description, and you can follow it there. Otherwise, this is going to be a standalone video. Hopefully, because of that, we'll get this up there on YouTube a lot faster. And don't forget to subscribe here on our Mystery Caution channel, and also like and share if you enjoy what you are listening and watching. So that's going to wrap it up. Don't forget also a link in the description for CJ's report on this race at rotowire.com. And we'll see everybody on Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit about the All-Star race, but we're also going to talk about the F1 race, including what happened last week in Miami.